In this episode, we'll be riding along the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal. We'll start in Chesapeake City, Maryland on the Ben Cardin C&D Trail. At the Delaware state line, the trail becomes the Michael Castle Trail all the way to Delaware City. Get ready for a beautiful waterfront ride. We'll see historic Chesapeake City, tour the Canal Museum, and spend the night at Doc Smither's Bed and Breakfast. In the morning, we'll take the Chesapeake City Ferry over to the trail. When we get to Delaware City, we'll visit with Kerry Rhoades of Forged Creations and head over to Fort Delaware. And end up with great seafood at Kathy's Crab House. To understand why we brought you here, we got to learn a little bit about this canal. So we thought the first place we should stop is the Canal Museum here in Chesapeake City. To get all the facts, I'm talking with Joe Pintal, engineering supervisor here at the C&D Canal Project Office. Joe, tell us about this canal and give us kind of some of the facts and the history.
Okay, briefly, the canal was started in 1829. It's 14 miles long. We have a project depth of 35 feet. It's 450 feet wide. We have 5 bridges that we maintain along the canal. And what we have here is the museum with 2 pumps. And the pumps were started initially when we had locks in here. There was a water loss, and so they had 2 pumps to fill the locks up.
I see. So tell me, the canal wasn't always 450 feet wide. Tell us a little bit about that.
Correct. It started in 1829. It was 66 feet wide and 10 feet deep.
Okay. And it had some locks on it.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And those have been eliminated now.
Yeah, approximately 1919 they looked at eliminating the locks. Teddy Roosevelt did a study on it, and around 1827 they changed it all to sea level.
I see. And so that's probably a vast improvement, I guess.
It is.
Yeah. Tell us what we're going to see inside the museum.
Well, when you go inside the museum, you're going to see 2 pumps, and or 2 pump engines, and they have like a 40-foot wheel approximately. And that was used to pump water from the Back Creek area into the locks because there was a water loss here at Chesapeake City.
I see. And then, and what else? There are some movies in there?
There's some movies. There's some short film clips. There's a lot of dioramas in there. There's fossils from the area and different tools.
Well, the museum really explains to just the layperson why this canal is here and why it's so important.
Right. It gives the history from the early 1600s all the way up to the present day.
I see. And it's a beautiful structure inside.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Now, has that been restored?
It's been refurbished a few times, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just thought that was stunningly gorgeous. Those walls are so thick.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It's really a fascinating place.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. So here in Chesapeake City, Maryland, this is a beautiful town. It's a canal town, of course. It wouldn't be here if it weren't for the canal. And so there are so many original structures here left over from those early days, almost the entire town, why it's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And so it's just a joy to walk around and see the houses, see the gardens. The original buildings are still here for the most part, and they've made such good use of these buildings. My goodness, there are bed and breakfast stores. Here's the old town hall. It's now a jewelry shop. Wait till you see this place. This is really cute. Now, I don't know how old this is, but you can probably figure this out for yourself. Having a sweet tooth just as strong as the next cyclist, I love candy stores. And if there's dark chocolate nearby, I'm going to get me some. Dark chocolate is supposed to be good for you, and well, I have to keep my energy up to film these segments. Just like any tourist-driven town, the shops are full of cute gift items, wearable art, and unique wares. I like antique stores when I travel because it gives me a feel of what's important to the region. What sorts of old things you find here in an antique store shows what a community values through time. Plus, well, I just love antique stores. I found several places to eat in Chesapeake City. The Chesapeake Inn here has good food and good music. The Byard House on the water here was good. And there on the North Shore is Schaefer's Canal House. I heard that's good too. Every one of these houses in Chesapeake City has a long and unique history. Take, for example, where I'm staying. It's now called the Doc Smithers Bed and Breakfast. It was built in 1848, and boy, is it beautiful. Let's check it out. This house was built in the late 1840s when Greek Revival architecture was popular. Dr. Delmar Smithers, for whom this bed and breakfast is named, inherited the house from his parents. One of 3 generations of Smithers who made this his home, he served the community as a dentist. The current owners, Navy Captain Ed and Susan Schweizer, have honored this home and Doc Smithers' memory by creating a loving and inviting home away from home. This formal dining room is where Susan and Ed really shine, offering a breakfast served on beautiful china from around the world. Susan loves pampering her guests with French toast, pancakes, or her special oatmeal recipe. Having spent a long career in the military, Ed and Susan have decorated their home with a lifelong collection of beautiful mementos and antiques from around the world. Having spent many years in Asia, they display a lot of items from the Far East. This house features an elevator to the 2nd floor, that baby grand piano, and 4 fireplaces. Each guest room has a queen-size bed, a private bathroom, television, and plenty of room. Guests can relax by the fireplace in the library, which is a separate common room for guests to just lounge. Susan and Ed take great pride in offering you a unique and comfortable setting. It's interesting that not only is the current owner a naval captain, but the home's original owner was a canal boat captain. In back is a private and quiet courtyard for relaxing. Here you also see a garage for safe and secure storage of your bicycles. We're going to ride the trail today, but it is on the other side of the canal from where we are. So rather than take the bridge over there, we're going to take a ferry. It's much better to see the canal from a boat. So in order to do that, I'm talking with Captain DJ, owner of Chesapeake City Water Tours. And DJ, before we get on the ferry to go over there to start the trail, I'd like to ask you a few questions about your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell us what you offer with the water tours.
We have a smaller boat that is our bicycle ferry. So we transport passengers across the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal, which, like you said, makes it a lot better than driving up over that treacherous bridge.
Yeah.
And we also have a much larger vessel that offers daily tours and sightseeing cruises, as well as sunset cruises, and we're also available for private parties. So, and we hold up to 49 passengers on that boat. So
oh my goodness.
Really nice experience for people that are visiting Chesapeake City and people that live in the community that don't have a boat of their own, and it gives people an opportunity to get out and, like you said, see the water from, see the trail and the scenery and everything from the best place, which is right on the water.
Yeah. Your tours take you to the upper Chesapeake Bay.
Yes, we depart from the basin here and we head west on the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal, and we'll head out towards the Bohemia River, which is one of the rivers that meet the C&D Canal. And sometimes we'll even take it a little further and go out to Turkey Point, which is the Northeast River. Okay. And it opens up quite a bit out there, and it's really scenic. It's nice. Yeah. And there's quite a bit of commercial traffic that comes through here. So it's not uncommon to see large container ships and tugboats pushing barges and things like that through the area. So, and guests love to see it. You know, they love to take pictures, and we're up close and personal with these large container ships. So it's a really neat time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
DJ, I'm excited to get in the ferry and get on the water.
Absolutely, it's going to be a good time.
Great,
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The ferry is just $5 for round-trip passage, and that includes your bicycle. They'll accommodate your trail riding schedule as much as possible. It just takes a few minutes to cross the 450-foot wide canal. The Chesapeake City Bridge would provide a great view, but it has a narrow sidewalk. With traffic going at highway speed, it didn't seem bike-friendly to me. I recommend the ferry. Chesapeake City was cut in two by the canal. Through the years, as it got wider, it absorbed more of the city, literally turning dry land into canal and taking the north side of town farther and farther from the downtown business district. The ferry is a pleasant way to connect the two. We're going to get underway. It's 14 miles to Delaware City. I've got my riding partner Jordan with me, and we're going to take off. It's asphalt, so it should be a really smooth ride. The Chesapeake and Delaware Canal is open and operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year round. Of the canals built during the heyday of canal building in the early 1800s, this is the only major commercial canal in the U.S. that's still in use. The days we were here, we did see a few of those large freight-bearing ships, though unfortunately we didn't get any of them on video. But we did see a good number of pleasure boaters using the canal. Less than 2 miles from our start, we enter Delaware, where the trail changes names from the Ben Cardin Trail to the Michael Castle Trail. The trail isn't totally flat. Here's a bit of a climb with a rewarding downhill. The C&D is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and it's designated as a National Historic Civil Engineering and Mechanical Engineering Landmark. That is Summit Bridge coming up. Built in 1960 and reconstructed in 1987, it's just over 2,000 feet in total length and stands 138 feet above the water. This is the second bridge now you've seen, and you see how high they are. They've got to be way up there to allow the giant ocean-going ships to pass underneath. Here is the only railroad bridge across the canal. Notice it's down. I'll get to that in a minute. First, we're taking a break at South Lum's Trailhead. With clean restrooms and picnic area, it's very handy if you plan to take all day to ride 14 miles. East of the trailhead, we wind through this interesting area where the trail leaves the shoreline. Locals tell me this is a good bird watching area. I definitely heard some warblers singing while riding through. The trail winds around a large marina and recreation area. There's a restaurant and many amenities for slip owners. Open year-round, Summit North Marina is popular with boaters from Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. First of all, being on the canal provides quick access to both Chesapeake Bay and the Delaware River. Also, it's very well protected. The Coast Guard gives this marina a status of hurricane hole, which means it's a great place to be in a storm. You need to be careful here because I notice a lot of parking lots and it looks like it can get pretty busy here in summertime. Getting back to the railroad bridge, notice that it's up now. Well, this is a lift bridge and it's usually up unless a train is coming. It's controlled by a bridge operator in Philadelphia. They still call it the Conrail Bridge even though it's owned by CSX and Norfolk Southern. The newest bridge across the canal is the Roth Bridge, built in 1995. Beside it, you see the oldest bridge, the St. George's Bridge. The new bridge was supposed to replace the old bridge, but the local community wanted to keep it. The canal is about halfway between Philadelphia and Baltimore, two very important ports. This canal saves a freighter about a 300-mile trip between the two cities. From Baltimore, you'd have to travel down Chesapeake Bay, around the Delmarva Peninsula, and back up the Delaware River to get to Philadelphia. This canal cuts a short path across the base of that peninsula. It's been an important shortcut for almost 200 years. Here, the bike trail makes a northeast turn toward Delaware City, following the old canal. The African Union Church Cemetery is the final resting place of at least 5 Black Civil War veterans. This marsh proved to be good bird watching. As you can see, I got pretty excited when we startled a flock of glossy ibises. There's Kathy's crab house. We'll come back here later. There's the old canal right there. Notice that it's narrow because it's the width that it was back in the 1920s, when the canal was widened and the channel was moved to the east. Now let's discover what awaits us in Delaware City. About 5 blocks from the trail in Delaware City, you'll find Forged Creations, which is the home of Kerry Rhoades, who's a metalsmith, and he's working today. He's welcomed us into his shop to show us what you do, and you're a great artist, so I'm looking forward to watching you work.
Thank you. I'm just going to make a little leaf hook just to show you some techniques.
Okay.
So I'll go from the coal fire onto my anvil and show you how we hammer. Well, the average working temperature when you're hammering is about 1500 to 1800 degrees.
Wow.
So when it's at that temperature, everybody, when they get burnt, usually gets burnt down here. It's a black heat. It's about 900 degrees. So it looks the same as a cold piece of metal. So you got to watch what you grab when you're in the shop. So this is just a blower underneath that blows the air up to keep the coal hot.
So you're actually burning coal.
Yes.
I can smell it. I love it.
Yeah.
And tell me, you've got a bellows here, but you're actually using a metal blower, but...
Right. But yeah, you could use a bellows. There's a hand crank forge. As long as you have an air source, you can get the steel hot enough.
Okay.
So I'm going to start to transition this bar into a leaf end.
Okay.
All right. There's the tip of your leaf. And I'll separate the stem. So now you can see it's starting to take shape.
My goodness, you work so fast too.
You got to strike when the iron's
I
hot.
see that.
Right?
Wow. Why did you get, I mean, really, tell us a little bit about why, your background. I know you've got artists in your family.
Well, I got started because when I grew up, we always went to New Hampshire to a cabin my grandparents bought. And so we could be with our cousins because they lived up there. It was on a little lake, and the oldest crafts fair in the United States is in Sunapee, New Hampshire. And they do a 2-week craft festival every year. So we would go up during that time, and there was an old blacksmith there by the name of Joe Tucker. So I would sit there and watch him every year.
Yeah.
So that was my inspiration to get started.
Yeah. But you make all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I know you've got this beautiful driveway gate that you've just
Gates
completed.
and railings and curtain rods and fireplace screens, and I mean, it just goes all over the place.
Yeah.
It's interesting, there's an old saying, by these hands all trades stand. So the blacksmith had to make all the tools for all the trades.
Yeah.
So without us, you wouldn't have had tools.
Yeah.
All right, let's hammer some more.
Yeah. Get out of the way there. No 2 days are alike.
No 2 jobs are ever alike. So, you know, I have a nice niche where everybody gets custom work. So it's based, they give me an idea and then I kind of create the design from there. And then, so yeah, it's rare that I reproduce the same thing, you know,
You
small
get,
items.
You get
but-
so much custom work. Are you able to do, I mean, I don't know, it may seem like a dumb question, but, you know, people come in off the street and...
Yeah, usually I try to have an assortment of small things on the doors and things like that for sale, but you know, working on this big driveway gate and all the projects I had over the winter, it's just been really tough.
Yeah. This has got to give you a lot of satisfaction to see a piece.
I love it. I mean, even on weekends, you know, I just want to come down and play in my shop,
Yeah.
you know.
Good.
Okay, I'm coming over where you are. I mean, you can stand there if you want.
That looks like that should be 52.
Nah, that's the easy part. That's kind of it.
Oh my gosh, that looks great. So Kerry, thank you so much for sharing your work and bringing us into your workshop. If somebody wanted you to make them something, how do we get a hold of you?
forgecreations.com, or go to my website, or email me, give me a phone call.
Great.
Whatever you need made. If you can dream it, I can make it.
All right, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Here in Delaware City, we have the perfect opportunity to visit Fort Delaware. I'm with Jake Miller, who's going to tell us all about this important Civil War site. Jake.
So I am the Interpretive Programs Manager here,
Okay.
which is kind of a mouthful for saying I run the historic program on there.
All right, means you know everything.
Of course, all of it, yes.
Jake, I've heard so much about the reenactors. Tell me what they do out there.
Oh yes, so we do what's called a living history program, which means that we understand that there are people that lived out there, and we take on the roles of those people. So when you go out to Fort Delaware, you walk in the door and you see people dressed in period costume, and they're actually representing people that lived at Fort Delaware at the time. So it really gives a chance for us to show what we think life might have been like in 1864, which is the year we portray.
So give me an example of the types of things that enactors might talk about.
Oh, sure, yeah. So you go into the ordnance room, let's say, which is the room that would relate to weapons maintenance. And you may see someone who's cleaning a musket, and he'll tell you how to clean the musket according to 1860s methods. You walk into the laundry and someone's washing socks with a washboard, and they'll let you try. So if you want to come try, you can use the rubber rollers and everything. Just that sort of thing that really, it lets you step into history kind of in a way that you can't typically do.
Hello, I'm Private Henry Spears of Independent Battery G, and you're with me today in the Ordnance Room in Fort Delaware. This is the room where we make repairs and we do maintenance for our firearms, such as this Springfield right here. Just a little fun fact, these things cost $12.50. The same as our pay for a month, so I don't recommend you drop these in the Delaware River or in the moat or anything. You're going to have to go in and get it. Personal experience.
So here in the dispensary, men come in during sick call if they aren't feeling too well, and one of the surgeons would manage to check you out. If you're very sick, we might send you to our hospital out here on the island. But if you're doing okay, we might give you a prescription, tell you to rest a little bit, take a few days off guard duty, and then send you back out into the fort to do your normal duties, things like that.
Fingers to the flaps of your ears. Okay? Battery, make ready! Gun number 68, fire! That was a little better, wasn't it?
Now, historically, tell us why this fort is so important during the Civil War.
So we're about 40 miles south of Philadelphia here, which was a major city at the time, still is. And so they figured, it's right on the river, and they figured if an enemy navy is going to sail into Philadelphia, we want something that's further south to protect that from happening, keep that from happening. So they built Fort Delaware. It's on Pea Patch Island, right in the middle of the Delaware River, and its intent was to be a fort for protection of Philadelphia, so an artillery fort. During the Civil War, the main story that you get is it was used as a prisoner of war facility. So you had, throughout the war, about 33,000 captured Confederates that spent time at Fort Delaware.
Wow.
So it was one of the bigger ones.
So tell us how we get out there.
So to get out there today, you need to take a ferry. So we're here in the ticket office right now. This is where you buy your ticket for the ferry, and then you sail over there and catch a tram, and we'll take you right to the front of the fort.
And Fort Delaware isn't the only place the ferry goes.
Correct. Yeah, we actually go over to New Jersey as well and visit Fort Mott, which is an 1890s era fort, built pretty much for the same purpose.
All right. Jake, what is the season for the Fort Delaware?
So Fort Delaware opens at the end of April. We start with just weekends. We do weekends through about the middle of June. At that point, we open 5 days a week, so Wednesday through Sunday, and that goes till Labor Day, and then we're open weekends in September as well.
And the ferry schedule is pretty variable. So if you're riding the bike trail, you could actually probably catch a ferry and get out there.
Oh yeah. We usually do. It's about every half an hour during the day that it runs, but it's pretty variable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Glad you could come.
We're right along the trail in Delaware City, and we're at Kathy's Crab House. And Kathy, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. You're very busy here.
Yes.
And I know why, because you're serving up good food.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about why the food is so good here, why you're so popular.
Well, we our big thing is crabs. You know, we do the crabs, and we get our crabs out of Chester River, Maryland. And I do most of the cooking myself. I make all the crab cakes. Everything's made from scratch, fresh, what we can get fresh.
So the crabs are fresh for the most
part?
Yep.
Crabs are fresh from Chester River. Just started to get them this week from Chester River too. So, yeah, it was late season this year. But yeah, so we do everything homemade, just make it from scratch.
I know you cater to families.
We do.
You have a kids menu.
Yep, we sure do. Yep. We do, and we get a lot of families. We do serve alcohol. We serve beer and wine, and we have spirits, but we don't push that, you know. But everybody has to have crabs and beer, so.
And you've been at this a long time. How long have you been doing this?
Since 1982.
So you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I hope.
It shows.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and you get a lot of trail traffic.
We do. We get a lot of traffic, and a lot of people are searching for parking right now, so they stop by and ask where they can do that, and you know, and if they want to come back and eat, they are welcome to park here.
Sure.
So,
Kathy, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it.
That'll do it for today's trip on the C&D Canal. I hope to see you again on another path peddling adventure.